Hey, and welcome to Dirty Lazy Girl, a podcast that offers realistic girlfriend support and problem solving for imperfect people.
You don't have to be perfect to be successful. Every week, we'll give you unconventional, dirty, or lazy problem-solving strategies. Let's get started. Well, happy Halloween, listeners, and happy Halloween, Stephanie.
Happy Halloween to you, too. It's October.
I know. We're getting into the spirit of things. And I love Halloween, except if you really think about it, Stephanie, Halloween is just a horrible holiday. Because think about it, we teach our kids to hoard candy, and they probably have about 2 new cavities after it's all over. And the worst is that as adults, we're surrounded by this tempting candy. It's a hard holiday. I admit I struggle with the candy temptation.
Well, you know what, Tamara? It's probably not just at Halloween for me. It seems like everywhere I go, there's bowls of candy. Like even the doctor's office, which is not the right place for candy, they have bowls of candy when you're checking in, right? I mean, it's like year round. Even when I have work meetings, we'll sit at these big conference rooms for days upon days, and the hotel room or the hotel will actually come out and fill the bowls of candy over and over again every time there's a break. And I'm like, seriously? I don't need more candy in front of me 24/7.
It's so hard to resist.
It's way too tempting. I can't handle it.
I know. So today we've got some strategies, 8 of them, to help us run, not walk away from temptation. But first, Stephanie, let's take a quick break.
Awesome. Well, today, since we're talking about candy, I couldn't help but think of one of my favorite dessert recipes that's in the Dirty Lazy Keto Dirt Cheap Cookbook. And the recipe is actually called Convenience Store Candy Almonds, if you can believe that. How appropriate. I'll show you a picture of them here today. They're super easy to make. They're chocolate flavored candies that would be perfect for the fall season or for Halloween. And it's on page 185 of the Dirty Lazy Keto Dirt Cheap Cookbook. And you can order this on my website, dirtylazyketo.com/books, or you can pick up a copy at Target or Walmart.
Awesome. Okay, let's get started with our 8 strategies to avoid temptations that you listeners can try at home.
Well, this is the funniest one, Tamara, because you told me this one. You probably don't remember this, but you told me this like 4 years ago when we were walking our dogs, and I was complaining about all the Halloween candy at work. And you were like, I was complaining because I had it all over my house. I think that was it. And you were like, Stephanie, why did you buy it so early? Do you remember telling me that?
Yes, I do remember that conversation. And it's kind of like one for the duh file.
Like,
duh, don't buy it until the last minute. I know it's hard because when you go to the store, sometimes they run out. Right. And you may not get the cheapest.
Or the ones you like.
Right. Right. But it's worth it to just not buy it, because having it sitting at home 3-4 days before, you're just looking at it all the time. I mean, and if you do buy it, hide it somewhere.
Oh, I'll find it.
But the first strategy is don't buy it till the last minute.
Yeah. And you're talking like hours before. Like if you're going to do trick-or-treating in your neighborhood, or you're going to a Halloween party or whatever, just don't buy the dang candy until like literally seconds before.
Yeah. I usually buy it on the way home from work. And then it's really just till it gets dark. So it's like an hour before.
You're like, I could do an hour.
I know.
Well, I think that's a great strategy. And I think about that often, when I'm out shopping and I see stuff on sale, or I see, cute wrappings, and the kids are like, oh, should we buy it? And I'm like,
yeah.
Wait till the last second.
Yes. I mean, it's if you're just staring at it, it's really hard to resist it. So just get it out of sight, out of mind, basically. And our second tip is maybe just don't buy candy at all. Buy a candy alternative. And I know you may not be the favorite stop at the house, with houses, because you don't have candy.
I mean, not everybody needs candy, right? I mean, what else could you buy, like to pass out for trick-or-treating?
Yeah, stickers, those little tattoos. My kids used to love the little tattoos. And like at the dollar store, they have a lot of cute little like plastic spider rings that you can get like 100 for $1.
Yeah. And I think Halloween's come a long way. Like the companies want alternatives because not everybody wants candy. And you might be a receptionist at work and you're going to bring it in for everyone to as they come by your office. I don't know, depending on where you work, you might want to invest in something else. Like I like nuts, for example. I've seen a lot of cute little personal size packages of nuts or stickers. I think those are really fun.
Yeah. So that's actually just avoiding the candy altogether and finding something else.
You could even buy it on Amazon in bulk.
Yeah. Yeah. It is more available than it was.
Yeah.
It's and stuff kids like usually. Yeah. Okay. Well, number 3, you wrote this one, Stephanie, which
this is my favorite. Yeah. My tip is to buy gross candy.
That would be Laffy Taffy. I hate Laffy Taffy.
I hate taffy. Taffy is disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross.
So, and I hate those, what is it called? Those Smart and Plenty or Plenty?
Yes.
Those
or Dots.
Nasty. Dots? Or licorice?
Yeah.
Dots? Oh.
Black licorice. Ew.
No. Buy all that. Because guess what? If you buy candy that you don't like, you might love licorice. I don't. But if you buy disgusting candy that you don't like, you're going to be a lot less likely to munch on it every time.
Yeah. I won't at all. No. Yeah. I love chocolate, so I just don't buy anything chocolate.
Nothing chocolate for Tamara.
No, which is so sad.
My favorite is actually, what is it called? Butterwurst or butterscotch? I'm getting them all mixed up.
Oh, yeah,
You know those ones, it starts with a B?
It's a butterscotch candy?
Butterwurst. No, that's syrup. It's been so long since I've had it. It's like chocolate, and then the inside is orange and kind of flaky.
Is that not Werther's?
No, it's a candy bar. Dang it, I'm going to have to think of it.
Oh, Heath Bar.
No, not Heath Bar. Listeners, if you can think about what my favorite candy is, and it's been so long, I hope that you'll type in the comments because I am just beside myself. Now I'm going to be obsessed with it. Dang it.
I know.
Oh, it's going to drive me nuts.
Well, it'll come to us.
It will.
Okay, but don't buy that.
Don't buy that one. The mystery candy that I love.
Yes. Number 4 is one that I can do, but not everyone can do, is moderation. So rather than, because I know myself, this is a know yourself. I know that I feel deprived and I'll be pissed and angry all night because I'm having to not get to even enjoy one piece of dang candy. So I give myself a little, I'll give myself 3 little candies and say, you know what, that's it. I pull them out, I set them up, and then I savor them, and then
You're like licking the wrapper.
I know.
You're like...
And another tip along that line is to save the wrappers and leave them out where you can see them.
Oh, because so you can count them?
Well, yeah, because if you've been eating, I'll just have 1 more than my 3 and 2 more. And then you look at that pile of wrappers and you're like, oh.
It's like 2 pounds later of candy just piled up. Keeping wrappers.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good tip. Yeah. Why not? If this is something that's important to you and it's going to keep you like on track with your health goals and enjoying a little bit of candy or a piece or 2 or 3.
Yes.
If that's important to you, then be honest, right?
It helps me to not feel deprived. And then I get right back on plan the next day. And then I don't overdo it. Because if I don't allow myself something, then I'll just binge on it. So for me, this is helpful. But what about you?
Tamara, that strategy would not work for me. I think most of our listeners know I'm more of an all or nothing type of girl with an emphasis on the all. Like once I get started with something, it's really hard for me to stop. So for me, I'm going to just go the complete opposite of that strategy. And I'm going to say, no candy at all, just 0.
Okay.
And for me, it's kind of like being an alcoholic. There's no such thing, or a smoker. I can't just have 1 cigarette. I'd have 12 packs. I can't have 1 drink. If I was an alcoholic, I'd have too many. So I want to make sure that I just cut it out altogether.
Yeah. And
the only thing that's going to work for me.
Yeah. This one, those 2, which one you do depends on, who you are.
Yeah. You got to know yourself.
Yeah. And another tip we have, number 6, is to keep busy on Halloween. Like you don't have to sit there and hold the bowl of candy and be giving it out all night. To me, that's the harder one. Go be the parent that takes them out trick-or-treating. You not only are you away from that bowl of candy, you're walking. You're getting exercise. So
and you get to see all the costumes and get out and see the world a little bit. Plus,
Yeah.
it's distracting. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not just staring at the candy bowl like, oh, maybe I'll have one. Maybe I'll have another one.
No.
Right?
Yes.
And you don't, I mean, maybe your neighborhood isn't into the trick-or-treating, especially this year, but there's crafts that you can do to keep busy during the fall holidays. You could make a quilt or some kind of arts and craft thing.
Yeah.
Either by yourself or with your family.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I really enjoy keeping my fingers busy.
Yeah.
I know it's like just a distraction method, but
Yeah.
for me, it's really effective.
Carving pumpkins. That's a super whole bunch of fun, and you'll keep you distracted instead of, dipping into the candy bowl.
Candy.
I
And
know.
at work, if you're, maybe you guys could do a pumpkin carving contest or some kind of craft, or I know like in the break room, you can set up an activity for people to do. That way it's not just like candy coming by your desk or candy in the break room. It could be a fun Halloween craft to do as well.
Speaking of work, what are your thoughts on taking all your leftover candy and putting it at work? Because on the one hand, it helps get it out of your house, but on the other hand, then you're torturing everybody else with your candy, and seeing at work. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about that one?
Tamara, I think that when it comes to Halloween candy or just candy in general, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And if it dumps it on someone else or in the break room at work, I mean, this is dirty, lazy girl tips, people. So you go to any extraordinary measures possible to make it through October without, going off the rails. Yeah.
And maybe too, it's just, I'm one of those, it's hard for me to just throw it away, because why would you just throw it away?
You feel guilty. But then you're like, really? Do I want to take this to a homeless shelter? Do they want to have like 18 bags of chocolate? Probably not.
I know our local dentist would give kids prizes to turn in their candy. So maybe there might be
He's all, here's a toothbrush.
I know.
That would not work for my family.
No, but you might check with your local dentist sometimes, or even like the homeless shelters will trade it in for kids just to help parents.
That's nice.
Yeah. Okay. The number 7 tip is finger foods galore.
Finger foods, girl. I go to town every year on Halloween. We always have a big party, invite all of our friends and neighbors. And I don't want to just be, anxious and kind of worried about the party and then eating candy. So I just make a zillion finger foods. Yeah. So some of my favorites are deviled eggs. I like veggies, low carb veggies with some kind of fun dip. Cut up sausages. I do olives because they look like eyeballs, bowls of nuts, even meatballs in little cupcake wrappers. Those are really easy to serve. I don't know. What about you? Do you have any favorite finger foods, or did I steal all of them?
You did steal them all.
Because I love food, people.
I know. I like those. It's just really those little mini Vienna sausages.
Those are delicious.
Yeah. So
I like, on the hard-boiled eggs, one of my favorite things to do is to cut them in half, you make deviled eggs or whatever. And then you use a toothpick and you dip it in red food coloring and you make little squiggle marks on the white. So that way it looks like eyeballs, like bloodshot eyeballs.
That's
for
cute.
Halloween.
That's cute. And that's another way to keep busy. Like just make fun Halloween kind of themed food. And that's great. Yeah. And that gives your hands something to do rather than going into the bowl.
Not the bowl. We're trying to avoid the bowl, people.
Yeah. Well, our 8th and final tip is to create a backup plan.
The backup plan. Sometimes you need like a serious backup plan. Well, I've been known, Tamara, even though I follow all of my own strategies and I follow all of my own advice, there's been times, especially after a couple of drinks, where I'm like, hey, candy sounds pretty good. Right? I want to make sure that I have a plan in place. That way, if emergency happens and I'm headed to the candy bowl, then I make sure I have some substitutes right next to the candy bowl. And I put sugar-free chocolates. I buy them at the dollar store. I buy sugar-free gum. I buy nuts, and I keep it all right next to it.
Yeah. And I would say another backup plan is if you fail, forgive yourself.
I like
because that's where people get stuck. Like once you fail, then it's like, well,
oh crap! I had one piece, might as well have 100.
Yeah, and even the next day, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna blow off this week, or even just getting off their diet entirely. So, one mess up, honestly, you can get right back on, and sometimes you don't even gain from that. Or maybe you do. So what? You just.
But if it's one piece or one night, sometimes, like you said, catch yourself and then just get right back on.
And if anything, you're Facebook group has taught me is that everyone has ups and downs, and they have moments where they fail and then they get back up, but yet they still have long-term success. So just keep that in mind. If you do, no big deal.
I like to ask myself a question. I know this is totally random, but sometimes I'll ask myself, what would skinny people do? Because I'm not one of those people. Yeah, like that little acronym. Like I'll say to myself, what do skinny people do? And like I've never been a real skinny person, so I don't really know that mindset. And but I see other skinny people having a piece of candy, like you said, or 2 or 3, and then they just get back right on it the next day at the gym or whatever it is their exercise routine is, or they're eating healthy. And I'm like, okay, normal people, skinny people, apparently that's what they do. So I try to think of that and then just mimic that behavior.
Yeah, that's great. And my trainer said something similar once. He said, it's okay to have a mess up like a cheat meal, but don't let it turn into a cheat day or a cheat week.
Yeah. I think you've told me that before, because it's easy to have a cheat moment for me, but I can do a lot of damage.
I know.
Like even a cheat meal, Tamara, if I say a cheat meal for me could be thousands and thousands and thousands of calories. Like I am an embarrassingly large eater. So for me, if I have a cheat moment, that's enough. Like stop, alert. Because it could get really ugly.
Exactly. Well, we're curious, listeners, how you plan to avoid the temptations of Halloween and just the holiday temptations in general. Tell us your story by emailing Stephanie@dirtylazyketo.com or via Facebook or Instagram @dirtylazyketo. Before we get to our final hacks, let's stop and take one last quick break.
Well, listeners, we don't want you to feel badly about yourself for having a sweet tooth. As I shared, I certainly have a sweet tooth too. The trick for me is to find a low-carb, sugar-free substitute to get through the craving. So I know that you're going to love the desserts and even the fun breakfasts that I share in the Dirty Lazy Keto Dirt Cheap Cookbook. Be sure to check out the chocolate chip chaffle recipe, as this one is one of my favorites. You can order your copy today using the links at dirtylazyketo.com/books.
Thanks, Stephanie. That recipe book couldn't come at a better time right before the holidays, so it's perfect. Let's wrap up by giving our personal favorite hacks, and I'll go first, Stephanie.
Okay, let's hear it. I need more hacks.
I know. Mine is to buy less and give out more. What I mean by that is buy less candy than you think. I always overestimate, and I always have leftovers. And the leftovers are super tempting because, like, when my kids bring it home, it's kind of like it's their candy, and for some reason, they'll notice if I take it. But the leftover bowl, that's like, ugh. So I buy less than I think. And then if I run out, I just turn out the lights. And then, in fact, my goal is to make it run out so that there's nothing left. So now too, also what I do is when it starts getting, later, usually around 8:30 or 9 in our neighborhood, and then you can tell the trick-or-treating is, wrapping up. When there's another trick-or-treater, I just give them everything in the bowl. I know it makes their day. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to give you the rest of my candy. And I just dump it in their bowl and turn out the lights. And then boom, problem solved.
Problem solved. Well, my problem, Tamara, is after Halloween. It's actually, so that would be like November 1st is when my problems tend to start, because my kids go so crazy on trick-or-treating, especially my son. And they bring home so much candy into the house. That for me, it's just, it lingers for weeks and weeks and weeks. And for me, even though I did all my strategies, I didn't plan on, my kids having so much after Halloween. Yeah. So this is my strategy, and I don't want you to judge me for it. But when my kids go to sleep at night, I take all their candy and I throw it away. I throw it away. And I don't just throw it away like in a normal trash can that I can still access, because let's be real, I could still get to it. So I walk it out to the curb to like the gross trash can that no one in their right mind would ever dig in. And I dump it all in there. And then I go back to the kids' rooms when they're sleeping, and I'll leave them a little bit of cash.
That's great. If you just, it's the kids you have to deal with in the aftermath.
And they're not happy about it. Let's just be clear. It's a terrible parenting moment,
Yeah.
and that works for me.
Well, maybe you can combine it with some kind of bribery.
I'm just keeping it real today,
I
folks.
know. Well, the bigger message today is that you aren't limited to just avoiding Halloween candy. We've trying to give you all sorts of solutions. Buy less, have a moderate amount, or have lots of yummy keto snacks around you. Those all can work for you, hopefully, and you'll find the one that's going to work for you. Anything tempting, really, too, by the way. These tips will help you not just at Halloween, but all the upcoming holidays. You want to think, how can I eliminate, substitute, distract, moderation? You got a whole range of tools at your disposal to get you through this year.
Well, listeners, are you enjoying the Dirty Lazy Girl podcast? We hope that you'll show your support by leaving us an honest review. And here is how. On your iPhone, select the purple podcast icon. Using the search tool, type in Dirty Lazy Girl. Click on the thumbnail to open it up. Scroll down until you see ratings and reviews. Click on the stars and select 5 stars. Scroll down and select leave a review. Type in your review and hit OK. Now, of course, if you're listening on YouTube or watching us on YouTube, how you can help out is to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Dirty Lazy Girl podcast. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Turn on your notifications so you'll never miss a video, and we'll see you next week.